Okay, so the scary story that I'm about to tell has a huge trigger warning. It deals with possible possession, demons, and other very scary things. Before I jump into it, my name is Kaisa. I tell scary stories every single night, so if you want to send me your scary story, then the email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Feel free to send me your scary stories. I absolutely love them. Okay, let's dive right into it. Holly actually told me that I could tag her in the description, so that's what I'm going to do. If you guys have anything to say to her or any advice or thoughts, then drop them in the comments. She's going to be reading them. Okay, so a girl named Holly sent me her scary story, and it starts in 1997 when her stepfather and her mother met. Holly actually said that her grandparents were always very apprehensive of her stepfather. Her grandmother said that he had a very cold demeanor, despite everyone else thinking that he was a very bubbly and outspoken guy. She just felt like there was something off about him. Holly said that her and her family actually lived with her grandparents in 1997. And she said that while they were under their roof, nothing scary happened. But in 1999, Holly and her family had purchased a trailer and actually moved out of her grandparents' house. One night, after moving into the trailer, she was sleeping in her bed by herself. She actually had a cat, and in the middle of the night, the cat woke her up by jumping on her bed. She wakes up from like a slumber. She's a little sleepy, and she looks over in her doorway, and all of a sudden she sees this white apparition. She said she didn't actually know if she was dreaming or awake, but this white apparition actually looked like a woman. The woman did not scare her at all. She was dressed in like a full Victorian era style, and she said that she actually resembled her aunt a little bit, her great aunt. The only thing was is that her aunt was still alive, and this apparition obviously wasn't human, or at least anything living. So remember that I talk about this because this will actually make sense later on in the story. So she said that later after that night, she actually had a bunch of experiences. Her entire family did. But they weren't like huge, crazy experiences. They were more or less just like hearing voices every once in a while, doors opening and closing by themselves, or seeing shadow figures out of the corner of their eye. Now, most people would think that this was scary, and this is scary, but it is absolutely nothing compared to what happens to this family later on. So after 2002, Holly's little sister is born, and she said that this is when things really started to amp up. Holly's stepdad had 2 other boys from a previous marriage, and Kevin really stepped it up after her little sister was born because her dad was a truck driver, or her stepdad, and he was gone a lot, so he was constantly helping out with his little sister. One day, Kevin was on his computer playing computer games as he often would. The computer was right in front of him on a bay window. He's just minding his business playing his computer game when all of a sudden he hears bang, bang, bang on the front door. Now, these knocks were so loud that he actually thought it was police officers at first, but obviously there were no police officers. Holly said that you could see the storm door from where he was sitting. The storm door to get to the main door was not open. No one was at the door. No one. Not long after this, Kevin is at work and her dad is on the road as usual. Her and her mom are sitting in the living room playing Nintendo. And all of a sudden, her little brother comes into the living room and says, "Yes, mommy?" Her mom looks at him confused and she's like, "What?" And her little brother is like, "You just called my name." And she's like, "No, I didn't." And he was like, "Yes, you did. You yelled for me." And she was like, "No, I didn't." And then Holly was like, "No, she didn't." So they kind of push this to the back of their mind because they're like, okay, and they let it go. They go back to playing Nintendo, and he goes back in his room and starts playing with a G.I. Joe. When all of a sudden, her little brother, Donovan was his name, comes running back in the room. And he's like, "Mommy, mommy, there's a man outside my window, and he wants me to come outside and play with him." Holly said that in this moment, her mom looked like she completely froze. And later on, her mom tells her that she went completely numb. Her mom slowly gets up. She goes to go into Donovan's room. And as she's walking into his room, she hears, "Donovan," in her ear. There was no man at the window. Now, when her sister is old enough to babble out some words a year or 2 later, she would wake up screaming and crying in the middle of the night, saying that there was a man with red eyes in her closet. The creepy thing about this is that she actually shared a room with her mom and dad. So she was seeing this creepy man in her mom and dad's closet. Now, fast forward to 2008, and now Kevin has moved out on his own. It's now just her mom, her stepdad, her little brother, and her little sister. She's 14 at this time, and one night they all decide that they're gonna go to Texas Roadhouse for dinner. Afterwards, they come home and they take their dogs out to go to the bathroom. Said they were little Pomeranians, they were really nothing to be afraid of, and they would normally just go outside as usual, go to the bathroom, and then come back inside with absolutely no problem. On this particular night, her stepdad took them outside in front of the house and they bolted towards the back of the house. Now, Holly said that there was actually a creek in the back of her house, so her stepdad goes and runs after them to go pick them up. Now, it's important to note right now that her stepdad is a big dude, big stoic dude, does not scare easily, and is just kind of intimidating himself. So her and her family are sitting inside when all of a sudden her stepdad runs in and he is bawling his eyes out. He is absolutely hysterical, and he says that something appeared to him. Standing across the creek, it was black, about 7 feet tall, and had red, glowing eyes. Sound familiar? So he's absolutely losing his ever-loving mind. But her mom seems to calm him down, and everything is okay. He is at least as okay as he can be. for the time being. And everybody is safe in the house and they all go to bed. So now the next part of the story is a Saturday. Holly is just sitting in bed alone talking to her boyfriend on the phone. And all of a sudden the storm door flies open and she hears that bang, bang, bang again that her brother had heard previously. It was loud and fast, and this was around 1 a.m. She then eventually gets off the phone with her boyfriend after he tries to convince her that this is just a figure of her imagination, when she just sees a figure pacing back and forth in front of her window. She said that she was so scared that she couldn't move, she was sweating, and she was frozen. Now, a couple more things happened. Like, her sister got a little bit older and she started seeing the red eye man too. But things are actively starting to get a little bit more intense and darker and eviler. Is that a word? I do not know. But one terrifying night, she's on the MySpace alone in her kitchen. Everyone else is sleeping. It's about 4 a.m. when all of a sudden she sees her parents' bathroom light turn on, but she doesn't hear anyone get up. And all of a sudden she sees her stepdad slowly walking out of the room in like the creepiest, slowest manner. Doesn't really think anything of it, except for how slowly he's walking is a little creepy, until he walks into the kitchen and he just stares at her. Just stares. Before she actually looked up at him, she actually asked if he needed anything while he was just standing there. But he doesn't respond, and so she looks up and she sees him just standing there and his eyes are black. She said that he stood and stared at her for a couple of seconds, felt like a couple of minutes, before he just turned around and went back to bed with her dumbfounded. This would be the beginning of her stepfather's just downfall. And it gets darker, it gets scarier, it gets like bad. But we are at 8 minutes and 42 seconds right now, so I have to stop this video and make a part 2. So if you want a part 2, then please drop that in the comments. I know the story was really long, and if you stayed till the end, I really so much appreciate it. Like, you guys are so much of the best. Like, I love you so much for all the support you have given me. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if you guys want to send me your true scary stories, they have to be true. Please email them to the link in my bio, which is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Otherwise, if you like scary stories that are true, I tell one every single night, so hit that follow button and engage, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a spooky night.